guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kayla. Today's video, I'm gonna do my May wrap up, which is a lot. I'm on some kind of roll right now. Like, I'm kind of being consistent with reading a lot of books because it's May, and spoiler, I've already hit my 100 book goal for the year. So yeah, here's what I read in May. Here's the stats. So I really liked how I did my April wrap up. So we're gonna do it kind of the same. I'm gonna give you my stats, and we're gonna talk about my top 5, and then we're gonna talk about my most disappointing. So let's get into the stats. Okay, so first off, we have the books I read. So I read 21 books in May, and that was 7,191 pages. Yeah, get in the comments and say, what the heck? That's a lot. So here's like the mood breakdown. It seems that my top 3 moods were dark, mysterious, and emotional. And I really think that is exactly the same from April, if I'm not mistaken. Next we have the pace. So I read 15% slow paced, 20% fast paced, and then the bulk was the 75% medium paced books. So 19% of what I read was less than 300 pages, and then 81% was 300 to 499 pages. So next we have the genre, and I did it, y'all. I literally did it. Period. I did it. I did it. Romance was not my top genre this month. I have a habit of reading just a bunch of romance just to pass the time. And this month, I set myself up for not wanting to read only romance. I wanted to broaden it, and I did in a general way. So my actual top genre was true crime. I read a lot of true crime nonfiction this month, and I'm kind of proud of myself. Thank you. Next, we have LGBTQIA+, young adult, thriller, and then romance. Those I read kind of the same amount. Then mystery fantasy, and then we go down into ones I read very few of. So erotica, memoir, historical, contemporary, middle grade, race, travel, poetry, history, essays, crime, and biography. These genres are pretty the same. So shoot me in the comments, actually, books that don't fit any of these categories that you love, so I can broaden my category genre horizons. We have my ratings. So I had 1 2-star, 2 2.5, 4 3-star, 1 3.5. I had 9 4-stars and 4 5-stars. And my average rating was a 3.74. So my page breakdown, you can see it. It looks like that. I think that I did pretty average with how much I read every day and everything. There is one day that I only read like literally 6 pages. And then there's one day that I read almost 500 pages. Okay, to get into my top 5, I have my little list here. And the first one I wanted to talk about is Wicked Beauty by KATEE Robert. Now, this is book 3 in the Dark Olympus series, and the first book being Neon Gods, then Electric Idol. This is number 3, and Wicked Beauty follows Helen, Achilles, and Patroclus, and it basically is, long story short, them being a threesome. Long story long, there is a competition to see who is going to be the next Ares, and Achilles says that it will be him no matter what. So Achilles joins the competition. Patroclus joins as a kind of helper to Achilles to kind of defeat off the other competition, and Achilles and Patroclus are lovers. And then Helen is like, ain't no way that the winner is gonna be married to me. I'm gonna be the winner. So then Helen joins the trials, the competition, and fights against them. And then it's KATEE Roberts, so there is smutty goodness. This, I think, was the best plot-wise. I think Neon Gods, in my opinion, is the best smut-wise, but this is the best plot-wise. The smut was really good. I just can't get over how I liked the smut in Neon Gods. And then Electric Idol is very neutral. I did not care at all about anything in that book, but it was good, a good filler for me. So the next one I want to talk about is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I fell into the hype. I get it now. I understand. Adam Carlson, call me, beat me if you want to reach me. I love you. And I think this book is phenomenal. If you don't know what The Love Hypothesis is, I don't want to explain it to you because I think you should just read it regardless of what it's about. I love it so much. Next book I want to talk about is The Witch King by H.E. Edgmond. So I read this this month, and this is basically a witch, fae, fantasy, young adult romance, question mark on the romance, with strong LGBTQ representation. So we have our main character Wyatt, I believe, and Wyatt is a 17-year-old transgender boy, and you learn that Wyatt is a witch, and Wyatt is actually engaged to marry the prince of the Fae realm, the Fae kingdom. And there are things that happen in Wyatt's life previously before leaving the Fae kingdom and transitioning. That is why Wyatt kind of abandoned that life and is pulled back into that life to be the king of the Fae. But he's a witch, and most of the Faes don't like witches. So it's a whole thing. I really enjoyed this. I think the representation in this story was really great. And I think that if you love fantasy and you're looking for a LGBTQ fantasy, I really think that this is where you should look, because I just enjoyed it immensely. The next book I want to talk about is The Woman in the Library by Solari Gentile. Now, this book, I did not give 5 stars. I gave this book, honestly, I gave this book 3.5 stars, but I rounded it up to 4. But I wanted to talk about it because while it had problems, this just general idea and how it engaged with me is why it's in my top 5 for the month. And it is because I'm going to explain it, and it's not going to make any sense, but I promise it's good. Okay, so we follow Freddie, and she is a novelist. She's a writer, and she is from Australia, and she has a fellowship in Boston. And she is sitting in the Boston Public Library, and she kind of takes it up with the 3 other people sitting with her. And while they're sitting there, there is a woman that screams. And so her and these 3 other people become friends, and they kind of try to Scooby-Doo the situation and try to figure out, like, why did she scream? There's something that happened with that woman after she screamed, so they start trying to figure that out. But at the end of every chapter, kind of the end cap on the chapter, you see an email that's a man named Leo wrote to Hannah. And it basically is, Hannah is the author of the story that you just read in the chapter, and Leo is beta reading, proofreading that story and giving his opinion on what you just read. So you're reading the story, and then you're also reading what Leo thought of the chapter that you just read. And then there's a whole sub story in that at the end cap of each chapter. I hope that makes sense. The idea behind this book is so smart, and the only reason it was not phenomenal was because the writing and the misdirection was confusing, because you couldn't tell if it was a misdirection because of bad writing or if it was bad writing that led to a misdirection. I'm literally quoting Ruby's review, so thank you, Ruby, for giving me those words to say. But I really enjoyed it. It really captivated me. Like, I really was like, I need to know what happens next. And the whole thing, there are some things that happened that I was like, who did what now? Who is who? And it just was, it was good. This book comes out June 14th, I think, June 7th. This book comes out really soon. I think it's June 7th. So go check out this book. The next book I want to talk about is Been There, Done That, A Rousing History of Sex, ? Been There, Done That by Rachel Feltman. This is a nonfiction book about sex. It is about the history of sex. It is about the history of animal sex. It is the history about LGBTQ. It's a history about STDs, STIs, HIV. It is a history nonfiction book, but it also is really funny. I think this is such a good book, and I think that everybody needs to read it because I learned so much about why we do certain things, or why we think certain things are wrong, or why we think certain things are good, or the whole point of having sex to make babies, but also sex is supposed to feel good. Like, it's a whole thing. And I really think that this book is good if you have questions or concerns. It's definitely not the most like academic, like science book to read, but I think it is a good like look into that history and kind of learning about it. Okay. I have two this time. My two disappointing books. The first being Portrait of a Thief by Grace D. Lee. Y'all, I gave Portrait of a Thief 2 stars. That book, it ain't it, sis. I was confused. I couldn't tell the characters apart at all. I promise I read it. I still don't know what was going on. The whole thing about this being a heist book, annoying, because the heist felt like a subplot of what was actually happening, and what was actually happening was nothing. So this did not give me what I wanted in the terms of a heist book, and I do not think this book technically should be labeled as a heist, as like the number one like identifier, because I did not get heist. Every heist that happened was literally 2 paragraphs, and it was like 10 pages of the heist is going to be in a week. We're going to go steal this painting in 2 days. We're going to go steal this painting in 12 hours. It's the day we're going to steal this painting. Painting stolen. Okay, now what? And I'm like, no, I want to know how y'all did it. I want better lead up, and I want better post heist. It was not good. And then the last thing I want to talk about is my other disappointing book was The Dragon's Bride by KATEE Robert, and I'm mad. I'm so mad I didn't like this. It's just a short, smutty novella where a girl has to marry a dragon, and I gave it 2.5 stars because it was weird. And I don't think like creature, like monster smut is like my thing. It was weird. He wasn't even a dragon. He was like just a big lizard. And it felt like I was just reading like Tumblr written smut. Like, it didn't feel good. It didn't do anything for me. And there was a whole thing with like how many he had and his tail, and it didn't, the like anatomy and the like yoga like stretching of it didn't make sense to me. I would have done it a little different. I would have written it a little different. So you might like it, but I did not. That book did not hit, sis. So yeah. I think May was okay. I did read a lot. I don't think I read anything like other than the Love Hypothesis. I don't think I read anything that was like revolutionary great. But here's to looking at June. Here's hoping June is something good. But that's all I have for you guys. Please like, comment, subscribe, do whatever you need to do to help me out. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, afternoon, morning, great rest of your life. And I will see you guys in my next video.